So, like any good Conanophile, I bought tickets to the Spokane, Washington show, even though it's 500 miles away from where I live. I mean, come on, they have other attractions, like the fact that you see more people than cows. That's shock value for anyone stuck in Cowtown like I am until someone gives me a real job. Then there's a giant red wagon. I saw an old bearded guy without a shirt trying to get a BUI, biking under the influence. He held remarkable composure when he face planted. Then there was a truck speeding off down the road with a running shoe on the roof. So I mean, Conan wasn't the only attraction. Anyway, my friend and I got to the show about an hour before it started. We waited in line to get the token crappy tour shirt that costs more than you spend on food in 2 months. But really, who needs to eat when you can have Conan O'Brien on your chest? Let's just be real here. After that, we found our seats. This venue has about 70 seats per row, and there's not a single aisle cutting through the middle of these rows. We were in the middle, so thankfully we got there before anyone else in our row did. We didn't disrupt anybody. Unfortunately, everyone else had to come in afterwards. You have the awkward exchanges when someone slips on the handbag you put in the middle of the floor and they land on your boob. Then they stay a little too long and you realize that your bag was actually under your seat the whole time. Your expression changes from sorrow to anger. They get scared, run off, and play the trick on someone else. It seemed like we were sitting there for an eternity waiting for Conan to come out. At one point I tweeted with my friend's phone. 140 characters took me almost 5 minutes. You have to excuse me though, I had a Zach Morris phone until about 10 months ago. The opening act was a musical dude with a fro-esque hairdo. At first I was angry because he ripped off my hair, but I quite enjoyed him. Anytime someone appeals to their lady by singing about their pancreas, they deserve to get laid by their lady. Finally, after standing up to let people with small bladders in for 2 hours, tweeting on a phone for the first time, and picking out all the Jay Leno spies in the audience, which was anyone over 55, Conan's band emerged. They played a little ditty and Pender came up to a couple rows in front of us. It was the only picture I took all night that was in focus at all. It's true. The only way I could tell if a picture was of Conan or not was because of the big red blob on the top of his head. And I wasn't sure if the following picture had a bat in the background or Larry King. But when Conan first came out, I fought the urge to scream like a girl at a Beatles concert. I've been watching this dude since I was 11, and I realized that sleeping wasn't important. I didn't regret the ensuing 12 years of inadequate sleep. I didn't need to stay awake in class. I went to high school and college in Idaho. You could bring your pet chicken in to sit for you, and the teachers would have no idea. And the chicken would do better on the test than 90% of the class. But it was pretty surreal when he came out, being in the same room as the Pompadour. It's a privilege, one shared only by millions of other people. The show was also like late night on steroids. Some of our favorite bits came back, ones that were noticeably missing from that one show we had before. You know, the one that was taken away by a jackass with a chin that has its own gravitational pull. On that network that only 90-year-olds watch. I wholeheartedly approved. I left my butt off the entire time. Also, Andy Richter is adorable and childlike. I wanted to lure him into a van with the promise of candy and a puppy. There was music, dancing, disturbing wardrobe choices, and some of that comedy stuff. Here are some of my favorite parts.
Now, you've all probably heard, this is exciting news, it was all over paper and radio and internet. I got a new job. It's nice. Yeah. That's right, starting tomorrow, I'm the new assistant manager at the West Main Banana Republic. 17 years. There's probably a lot of young people here well, it's all generational, because I'm constantly bumping into older people. Like, people over 60, they still think of me, you're that new guy. Really, I do have like 55, 60-year-old people like, you're that new kid that just came along. You jump around a lot. You got the hair, the weird name. funny to me. I may also, and this is weird, I may no longer be able to use the name Conan O'Brien. That may now be the legal property of NBC, which means I may have to go back to my birth name, Jet Blaze. That's the name I was born with, Jet Blaze. And I thought, I want to go into television, so I'm going to change it to something cool. Let the door hit your freckled Irish ass. I hung around the house, eating frosting from a jar. I got really into gossip girl, and sleeping in my car. Yes, I'll survive. I will survive. And they kind of tried to kill me, but I made it out alive. I've got all my life to live. I've got so many shows to give. I'll survive. Yes, I'll survive.
Of course, we have what happened after the show. As I have had a platonic crush on Conan since I was in high school, I was determined to meet him in some way. Of course, it would be hard for me to avoid saying something like, "Hey Conan, can I touch your mane?" And by that I mean the one on your chest. Conan is far too sexy to not be treated like a piece of meat occasionally. Either way, I was determined. A good 70 or 80 people waited by the buses and vans to see if he'd come out. We were out there for probably 30 minutes before the band members started coming out. As I'm a pygmy, I couldn't see anything. I only suspected something because groupies and awkward nerdy guys were convening by the bus and screaming like Ryan Seacrest when he finds out he can interview Justin Bieber. After a while, my friend and I tried inching closer, but all I could see was Pender's shiny forehead and girls flocking to La Bamba's side a few minutes later. It was a lost cause. As per Conan, he had made jokes the entire show that he was going to the Red Wagon afterward. It's right by the venue, and it's basically a massive children's wagon. It would be like if Rick Moranis shrank you with a malfunctioning machine and you were hanging out in the backyard with the neighbor kids. I'm thinking they had Honey, I Shrunk the Kids in mind when they made it. Either that or it's a part of Michael Moore's next documentary, Why Children Shouldn't Have Toys. Anyway, it came out that he was over there. The few remaining people congregating around the stage exit area took off. There were quite a few people there. The only reason I could see Conan was because he was standing on something. Maybe Triumph was busy taking a poo in Spokane like he said he would and was simultaneously giving Conan a boost. Either way, I'm tiny, have the aggression of Ben Stein, and only bust out my Jerome Bettis moves during Thanksgiving at my house. I have 4 brothers. If I want to eat it all, I need some shoulder pads and intensity. So I sat around hoping I could slowly inch my way up. It didn't happen. Conan started to leave. As he did, he was right next to me, only his back was turned. And he had said that this was his last picture. I considered pinching his tush to get his attention, but for some reason society deems that inappropriate. I didn't do it. Then he sprinted to his van like I do on the Thanksgiving to the table. So I didn't get to meet the only celebrity I would actually care about meeting, my awkward celebrity crush since high school. I did take his picture. Doesn't he have the sexiest beard there? Anyway, let that be a lesson to you. If you want to meet the Irish god of sex, you best knock some bitches around. Don't be polite like me. It will get you nowhere. You will become Weepy the Clown like I was afterward. Maybe one day I'll have another chance. Next time I'm bringing a Barry Sanders jersey, some football pads, and my game face. So apart from being snubbed by Conan, pretty freaking awesome show. Best way to take a break from Cowtown.